I woke up to the smell of rust and something foul clinging to the air like damp rot in a basement. My neck was stiff. The fluorescent lights above flickered, humming like a dying insect. My name is Brian Holloway. I am 17 years old, and this is how I learned the real meaning of fear. It started 4 days ago at Greenridge High School in Ashland, Oregon. The first frost had just settled, painting the edges of the chain-link fences with ice. My shoes crunched the frozen grass on my way through the back gate, the one no one used anymore since a sophomore got caught sneaking in weed last year. The gate still creaked the same way. First period was U.S. government. Boring teacher. Dead eyes. Name was Mr. Denton. He had this weird tic where he tapped his fingers against the desk in a slow pattern like a heartbeat. I never really paid attention, but that morning, something was different. He kept looking at the windows, and his fingers tapped faster. Second period, I saw Alicia Torres in the hallway. She looked pale. Not tired pale, but chalk white like something had drained the color from her skin. She was walking stiffly. When I said hey, she didn't even look at me. Just kept walking, arms tight to her sides. Her lips moved like she was whispering to herself. I turned and watched her disappear into the bathroom near the auditorium. I should have left it alone, but I had this knowing feeling in my gut. Something told me to follow, so I did. I walked into the bathroom and immediately knew something was off. It was quiet, too quiet. Even the sound of the school buzz faded. The air was colder. The mirror was shattered, and Alicia was gone. In her place was a pile of her clothes, folded neatly on the floor, and in the center of the tile, written in a dark red smear, were the words, "We see you now." We blinked. My heart kicked into overdrive. I ran out, heart slamming against my ribs. No one was in the hallway. No one. At Greenridge, that hallway was never empty, not even during class. I found Principal Harmon in her office 10 minutes later. I told her what I saw. She just smiled like I made a joke, said Alicia was suspended and that her parents picked her up. But I knew Alicia lived with her grandmother, and her grandmother died 2 months ago. That night, I could not sleep. I kept seeing the bathroom, the message, Alicia's empty clothes. I tried to tell my mom, but she brushed it off. Thought I was overstressed about exams. The next day was worse. 3 kids did not show up. Teachers acted like nothing happened. Their lockers were cleaned out, like they never existed. The morning announcements just skipped their names, but I saw something they missed. The janitor closet near the gym was slightly open when I walked past. Inside, 3 desks were stacked and tied with heavy straps. The names carved into the wood were the missing kids. I pushed the door open wider. There was a smell. Sweet. Rotten. Like meat left too long in the sun. Something moved behind the mop bucket. I heard breathing, and then a hand reached out, blistered and gray, grabbing my ankle. I screamed. Not a loud shriek, not something heroic. It came out as a rasp, like all the air had been sucked out of my lungs. I kicked hard and stumbled backward, falling against the hallway wall. The closet door slammed shut before I could see what was behind it. I ran. I did not look back. I did not stop until I was outside, heaving in the cold air behind the track field. For a long time I thought about just leaving, walking off school property, and never turning around. But my backpack was still inside, and part of me needed answers. I waited for the last bell to ring, then I slipped back in. The halls were emptier than usual. I noticed something else. There were no janitors. Not even the old man with the key ring who always whistled off-key. All the trash bins were full. The floors had not been mopped, as if someone was pretending the school still worked but forgot the details. I went back to the closet. This time I brought a metal pole from the broken fence near the football field. I pried the door open from a distance, heart pounding. The room was empty. No desks, no mop bucket, just a tiled floor covered in long black scratch marks. and in the center was another message smeared in something darker than paint. Not yours to save. I backed away and almost ran into someone. It was Mr. Denton. He looked worse than before. His eyes were bloodshot. His hands shook. He opened his mouth to speak but said nothing. Then he reached out and pressed something into my hand, a folded piece of paper. He walked away without a word. I unfolded the note. There was no writing, just a rough hand-drawn map of the school, and one room circled in red, room B-108. I had never heard of that room. It was not on any schedule, not on the school's map, not on the maintenance sheet I stole from the front office last year to sneak into the AV closet. That room did not exist, but I knew what I had to do. I waited again. I waited until long after the sun set. Then I came back. Greenridge at night was not the same place. The windows looked like eyes. The lockers seemed taller, the ceiling creaked, and the air smelled like copper and mold. I followed the map. Through the north stairwell, down past the unused wing where they used to keep the art classes, through a door marked storage, and then another door hidden behind a hanging plastic curtain. Room B-108 was real. Inside was a single desk, a light bulb swinging from the ceiling, and a girl. It was Alicia, but she was different. She was smiling too wide, and her eyes were completely black. I wanted to speak. I wanted to ask if she was all right, but something in me froze. The smile was not human. It stretched too far. Her face did not move naturally. It was like watching a puppet controlled by frayed wires. She stepped forward. The light swung above us, and her shadow split into 3 on the walls behind her. Each shadow moved differently. "Brian," she said. Her voice was wrong, like too many voices speaking at once. My chest tightened. I stepped back. "Alicia," I said. "You are not supposed to be here," she said. I looked at the desk. Something was moving beneath it, crawling, shifting like a sack full of rats. The shadows writhed. She reached into her jacket and pulled out a long metal pin. She placed it gently on the desk. "This is your warning." She turned and walked toward the back wall, but instead of stopping, she stepped through it. The concrete rippled like water. I stood there, breathing hard. The air in the room buzzed. I approached the desk. The pin was still there, thin, sharp, too cold to touch. Then I heard it. Footsteps, not behind me, under me. I bolted out of the room, through the curtain, past the storage sign. I ran back up the stairs and did not stop until I was outside again. The sky was darker than before. The stars were wrong. Some of them were moving. Home. I locked my bedroom door. My mom knocked twice before giving up. I could not sleep. I kept the pin on my desk. I checked on it every few minutes, as if it might disappear. Around 2 in the morning, I got a text from a number I did not know. It just said, "Room B-108 is open." I did not reply. I turned off my phone and shoved it under my mattress, but that was not the end. The next day, the school was locked down. No one in, no one out. The intercom buzzed every 10 minutes with the same message: "Please remain calm and await further instruction." Mr. Denton did not show up. Neither did the principal. The substitute in second period was a man I had never seen. He wore a badge with no name on it, and when he looked at me, I felt like he already knew everything. He smiled once, just once, and it was the exact same smile Alicia had given me. By lunch, the halls had changed. The lockers were shifting position. I knew it sounded crazy, but I watched one near the math wing slide 2 feet to the left while no one was looking. The fluorescent lights flickered faster. Every time they went dark, the world held its breath. I was not the only one who noticed. Hannah Whitaker, a junior from my chemistry class, grabbed my sleeve in the cafeteria. "You saw it too," she said. I nodded. I did not have to ask what she meant. She pulled me into the supply closet behind the kitchen. Her hands were shaking. "They are replacing people," she whispered. I asked her who everyone. She said. She pulled out a notebook. Pages filled with symbols, circles within circles, names scratched out. Her handwriting slanted like she had been writing in the dark. They are not just taking students. She flipped to a page with 3 photos taped in. Mr. Denton, Principal Harmon, and the janitor with the key ring. She crossed each face out with red ink. I saw Harmon disappear into a wall last week, she said. I followed her. I should not have. Something saw me. Asked her what she meant. She said nothing. Just opened her hand. Deep cuts marked her palm, each one a perfect triangle. You need to go back to room B108, she said. There is something beneath it, something older than the school, older than this town. I thought of Alicia, her voice, her eyes. I told Hannah I would go. She laughed once and handed me a small glass shard wrapped in paper. They cannot follow you if you carry this. I did not ask why. I just took it. By the time I returned to the hallway, the lockers had moved again, and a new message was scratched into the linoleum outside the gym. Count backwards or be taken. That night, I returned to B108. This time, I carried a flashlight, the glass shard, and the metal pin. The plastic curtain was gone, replaced by a steel door. It opened before I touched it. Inside, the room had grown. The desk was gone. The light swung harder. Chains hung from the ceiling, and the walls pulsed like something was breathing beneath them. A new figure stood in the center. It was not Alicia. It was Mr. Denton, but taller. His eyes were gone, hollow. His skin flaked like old paint. You brought the pin, he said. I nodded. Then you are ready to descend. Stepped forward. My legs did not want to move, but something deeper than fear kept me upright. Denton stepped aside, revealing a hole where the floor should have been. Stone stairs spiraled downward into blackness. He did not follow. He just stood there, mouth twitching. Do not speak the old names, he whispered. Not unless you want them to hear. Then he was gone, swallowed by the shadows. I began the descent. The stairs felt damp. My flashlight flickered. I clutched the shard tighter in one hand, the pin in the other. The smell grew worse. Sulfur, charcoal, something sweet rotting beneath it. As I reached the bottom, the air changed. It felt thick, wrong, like sound moved. Slower. The walls down here were made of stone, covered in carvings I could not read, symbols that pulsed faintly like veins. Then I saw the door. It was wood, old, marked with deep scratches. Something had tried to claw its way out, or in. I pushed it open. The room beyond looked like a church, benches, an altar, but everything was off. The benches were angled wrong. The altar was made of bone, and the stained glass windows showed things that could not exist. A spiral with teeth, a face with no eyes, a sun that bled. Someone was kneeling at the altar. It was Alicia. She turned slowly. Her face was calmer now. Her eyes were human again. Brian, she said. You should not have come. I asked her what this place was. She looked up at the glass. They showed me, she whispered. Showed me what waits beneath. She held out her hand. Her palm held a key. It was made of the same metal as the pin. Cold, too smooth. You can stop them, she said. But you have to go deeper. I took the key. The second I touched it, the windows shattered inward. Voices poured in. Hundreds, screaming, laughing, chanting. I grabbed Alicia, and we ran through the far door. Behind us, something began to rise from the altar. Something that wore a face like mine. The corridor twisted like it was alive. The walls pulsed, breathing. Every few steps I heard something whisper my name from the cracks in the stone. Alicia kept ahead of me, moving fast, like she knew where we were going. Where does this lead? I asked. She did not look back. It leads to the mouth, she said. I did not ask what that meant. We reached a chamber, round, dome-shaped. The ceiling opened up into darkness, so deep it swallowed the flashlight beam. There were murals carved into every inch of the walls, A history in reverse. People growing younger. Civilizations shrinking. Tools turning to bones. Then, at the center, a single eye carved into the stone. Wide open. The floor groaned beneath us. "We need to move," she said. "It is waking up." The walls began to bleed. It was not a metaphor. Blood poured from the carvings, thick and black. It filled the grooves like rivers. The eye began to glow. We sprinted through an archway Alicia found, behind a collapsed statue. The tunnels beyond were narrower. The light dimmed. I began to hear movement behind us, scraping, wet breathing, and something dragging metal across stone. We ducked into a side passage. Alicia pressed her hand to the wall and whispered something. The stone shifted, opening a seam just wide enough to slip through. Inside was silence, thick, choking. The room was filled with mirrors, dozens, each one different. Some cracked, some warped. None of them reflected what they should have. My reflection in one was smiling while I was not. In another, I was missing my eyes. "We have to find the right one," she said. "What do they show?" I asked. She touched the nearest mirror. "They show what could be, what should never be, and sometimes what already is." Her hand passed through the glass. "This one," she said. She looked at me. Her voice dropped. "Whatever happens, do not speak your name." I followed her through. It was not like stepping through anything solid. It was like being turned inside out, like my skin forgot how to be skinned. We came out in a place that looked like Greenridge High, but wrong. The sky was blood red. The sun was frozen. The halls were filled with lockers that moaned when we passed, and the students had no faces. They walked in perfect silence, in loops. Some of them turned their heads toward us, as if they sensed something out of place. "Alicia, lead me to the auditorium." The doors were nailed shut with bones. She pulled the shard from my hand and drove it through the center. The doors opened. Inside, the air was colder than anything I had ever felt. Frost formed on my teeth. The seats were filled with versions of me, all of them dead, all of them staring at the stage. On the stage stood Denton, but taller, thinner, his mouth split to his chest. "You brought the key," he said. I held it up. It glowed red now. He stepped forward. "Good. Now give it your name." I stayed quiet. He tilted his head. His body twitched. "Your name," he said. Again Alicia stepped between us. "You cannot have it," she said. Denton raised a hand. She flew backward into the seats, crashing through the dead versions of me. He turned to me. "Say it," he whispered, "and be free." I clenched the key so hard it cut into my palm, and I ran for the stage curtains. I dove behind them. There was nothing but a wall. I turned to face him. He was gone, but Alicia was standing again. Her eyes were bleeding. Her voice was hoarse. "Brian," she said, "he will never stop now. We need to go deeper." We left the mirror world behind. Alicia found another shard buried in the stage floor. It glowed the same as mine. She said it was older than the school, older than the town, older than names. We followed a spiral staircase behind the curtains. It did not belong to the building. The stone was slick with something black and warm. The walls pulsed with a rhythm that matched my heartbeat until I could not tell which was mine. The stairway opened into a cavern, vast. It felt alive. It was filled with statues, hundreds, maybe thousands. Every one of them looked like someone I knew. Teachers, students, even people from town, all frozen in horror. Alicia said nothing. She only pointed forward, toward a door that looked like it had been carved out of bone. The moment we stepped through it, sound vanished. Even my own breathing disappeared. We walked in silence through a forest of pillars. Something massive moved above us in the dark. No matter where I looked, I could never see it, but I felt it watching. There was a hole at the center of the room, not just a pit, a hole in reality, blacker than shadow, a place where light went to die. "He is down there," Alicia said, who I asked. She looked at me. The first one before I could ask more. The ground shook. The statues cracked. Some of them began to scream. A soundless scream. Their mouths stretched wide. Their faces split in terror. We ran. Back through the pillars. Back through the bone door. But the path was different now. Longer. Sloped. And then we were falling. We hit stone hard. My leg twisted under me. Alicia grabbed me, pulled me behind. A rusted gate. Just as the tunnel filled with footsteps, figures passed, wearing the old Greenridge uniforms. Their skin sloughed off their bones, their eyes glowing like coals. Each one held something sharp, pieces of desks, scissors, broken rulers. They moved in silence, in perfect formation. Alicia whispered, "They are the ones who spoke the names. They were taken. What happens if they catch us?" I asked. "They give your voice to him." I shivered. My hand burned. The key was pulsing now. Alicia pulled her shard out. They began to hum, in sync. The gate behind us cracked open. We slipped through and sealed it behind us. We were in a narrow crawl space. I could hear water dripping. Rats moved along the edges. We crawled until the walls fell away into a space too large to measure. I stood slowly. My flashlight flickered. The ceiling was gone. The stars above were wrong, bent into spirals, and floating in the air was a figure wrapped in bandages, suspended by threads. Alicia knelt. "What is that?" I whispered. She looked up. "That is what remains of the last who tried to stop him." Then the thread snapped, and it began to fall. We ran again. I did not look back. I did not breathe. I just ran until we reached a metal hatch, sealed with a dozen locks. My key pulsed bright. The locks fell away. We opened it and dropped through. Below was a room filled with whispering. Every voice was mine, and they were all screaming. The whispers surrounded us. They crawled into my ears, my mouth, my skull. I heard myself begging, crying, laughing, dying. Every voice was a version of me. Everyone knew something I did not. Alicia covered her ears. "Do not listen," she said. "They will show you things that never were. They will make you wish they were real." The room had no walls, no ceiling, just voices and fog. Shapes moved in the mist, some human, some not. One came close and reached for my face. It wore my eyes but not my skin. I stepped back. "We need to keep moving," I said, but there was no path, no direction. The shard in Alicia's hand flickered. It spun in her palm, pointing us forward. We followed it. The fog thickened. Time stretched. My limbs felt too long, my breath too loud. I forgot what silence was. Then we stepped into a hallway. Familiar. Greenridge High again, but not. The floor was tile, slick with something dark. The walls were covered in photos, all black and white, all of me, every age, every emotion. In every photo, someone stood just out of frame, watching. Alicia ran her fingers across one of the pictures. "This is not memory," she said. "This is bait." We passed the front office. The bell rang. The intercom crackled. "Brian, report to the principal's office." I stopped. My name, my voice. I looked at Alicia. She was pale. "Do not go in there," she said, but I was already moving. The door opened before I touched it. Inside, it was not an office. It was a hospital room, white, blinding. A heart monitor beeped in the corner, and on the bed was my mother. She sat up, smiling. Her eyes were gone. Her voice was not hers. "You left us," and I stepped back. "This is not real." She stood. Her mouth opened too wide. "Say your name," she whispered. "Give it back." Alicia grabbed my arm. She pulled me out. The room melted behind us. Screams followed. Screams I recognized. We ran again, past doors that led to places that could not exist. One opened to a burning field, another to a frozen church, a third to a classroom, where the desks were made of teeth. We stopped at the library. Alicia hesitated. "It is in there," she said. "What is the book?" She pushed open the doors. The library was infinite. Shelves stretched into nothing. The books moved on their own. Whispers poured from their pages. She led me through the aisles. Her shard glowed blue now. We stopped at a pedestal. On it lay a single book, bound in something pale, its title written in blood. Brian Everett had my name. She looked at me. "You cannot let him write the last chapter." I reached for it. The book opened on its own. Pages flipped fast. Faster. Scenes from my life blurred past. Then it stopped. On a blank page. The lights above us died. Footsteps approached. A voice followed. "You were never meant to leave it," was Denton. But more than Denton. His limbs were too long, his face half missing. His voice filled every corner. Alicia stood between us. "You cannot have him," he smiled. "I already do." The book turned red. I screamed as something clawed its way up from the pages, and the library caught fire. The fire did not burn like real fire. It moved in slow waves, cold to the touch. But everything it touched turned to ash. Alicia pulled me backward. The creature from the book was still forming. It had no face yet, just a blur, a wound in space. It screamed without sound. The shelves around us collapsed. We ran toward a spiral staircase that had not been there before. I did not ask where it led. I just climbed. My hands bled from the cold iron rails. Alicia was ahead of me. Her shard lit the way. At the top was a circular room. Mirrors lined the walls. Each one showed a version of me. One where I never left town. One where I died young. One where I never met Alicia. All of them stared back with hollow eyes. "He is splitting you," Alicia said. "Pulling you apart." "Why?" I asked. "Because he cannot take you whole." The mirrors began to crack. Each crack echoed in my skull. I dropped to my knees. Blood ran from my nose. Alicia placed her shard against my chest. "You have to choose one," she said. "What happens if I do that becomes your truth, and the rest, they feed him." The mirror directly in front of me held a version of myself holding a child, smiling, safe, normal. I reached toward it. Then, I saw the eyes of the child. Too wide, too black. The smile was not mine. I pulled back. The fire had reached the stairs. It climbed like a living thing. We had seconds. Alicia looked desperate. "Choose Brian, before he chooses. For you." I looked around. Every version of me was broken in some way. Missing something. Faking something. All except the one to my left. It showed me standing in the ruins. Alone. Alive. Eyes hollow. But real. I touched the glass. It shattered inward. The world folded. When I opened my eyes, I was outside. On the football field. Night sky above. But the stars were gone. The school behind me burned. A perfect silent flame. Alicia was gone, and my hand was the book. The cover blank now. I opened it. The pages were empty, except one, a single sentence written in my handwriting. I gave it everything. The field began to sink. The grass turned to ash. The scoreboard flickered numbers that made no sense. I heard footsteps behind me. Denton again, or what was left of him. His body melted into the air. His mouth opened sideways. He pointed at the book. "Right," he said. "Finish." E.T. looked down. The pen was already in my hand. I began to write, and I felt him enter me. Not my body, my memory, my voice. Alicia's scream came from the sky. "You are not him." "Not yet." The pen snapped in my hand. Blood poured from the pages. The book screamed and burst into light, and I woke up back in the hallway. First day of senior year, everything clean. Everyone normal. Except for one thing. My name was not on my locker. It was Alicia's. I stood in front of the locker for what felt like hours. The hallway bustled around me. Students laughed. Backpacks slammed into metal. Everything looked the same. Everything felt wrong. I touched the name tag. Alicia Everett. My last name, not hers. The metal beneath it was warm. Someone called my name. I turned. It was Carter, alive, smiling, holding a binder like he always did. "You good, man?" he said. I nodded. "Yeah, just tired you. Coming to rehearsal tonight to rehearsal?" "Yeah, for the fall play. You are the lead." Remember, I followed him down the hallway. Everything had reset, but not quite. The angles were wrong, the lights too bright, everyone too clean. We passed the trophy case. Every plaque bore the same name: Everett, Principal Everett, Coach Everett, Librarian Everett. No first names. I stopped in the bathroom, locked the door, looked in the mirror. My reflection blinked a second too late. I pulled the book from my bag, the one I thought had vanished. Its cover was no longer blank. It read The Quiet History of Greenridge High. I opened it. Page after page was filled with student names, and their fates vanished, lost, forgotten. Every few pages, Alicia Everett, different photos, different dates, always ending the same. Sacrifice complete. I closed it. At lunch, I searched for Alicia. She was not in the cafeteria, not in any classroom, not in the yearbook. No one remembered her name, but I saw her, in flashes, reflected in windows, sitting in an empty desk, writing in a notebook with no pages. After school, I walked the halls alone. The lights dimmed behind me. I reached the basement door. It was open again. I stepped through. The staircase spiraled downward, farther than before. My key pulsed against my chest. The air grew thick at the bottom. The door to room B108 stood waiting. No noise, no whispers, just the hum of something ancient. I pushed it open. The room was empty, except for one desk. On it, a single sheet of paper, blank, a pen beside it, a voice behind me, hers. "You can end it, Brian, but you have to finish the story." I turned. Alicia stood there, her eyes glowing faintly, her body flickering like an old film reel. "I cannot let you take my place," I said. She smiled. "Then do not. Write something else." I sat at the desk, picked up the pen. I began to write. I wrote about fire, about memory, about voices that lived in walls, about a girl who never stopped fighting, about a boy who tried to remember who he was. As I wrote, the air thickened. Screams echoed far below. The foundation cracked. The paper burned in light. The room fell away. When I opened my eyes, I was in a field. Daylight, birds, the scent of pine, and Alicia sitting beside me, whole again. "Is it over?" I asked. "No," she said, "but it is different. Now what did we change? We wrote our own ending behind us." The ruins of Greenridge smoldered. A shadow passed overhead. Something large, something patient. I looked at Alicia. "What do we do now?" She smiled. We remember. The ground trembled once more. But this time, I did not run.